before the news vans arrived, before the metal detectors and emergency drills, before his name trended beside words like shooter, terror, and evil. There was just a boy, walking to school, alone. Elijah Carter was 15. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't popular. He wasn't dangerous. He was just forgotten. He didn't play sports. He wasn't invited to parties. Teachers called him quiet. Other kids called him worse. Most days, he drifted between classes like fog in the morning, present, but unseen. But if you'd looked closely, if you'd seen the eyes behind his glasses, they weren't blank. They were drowning. But before we dive into the details of the story, kindly drop in the comments section the location you are watching from and push the subscription button for notification on captivating and interesting stories on Chase Studio series. Now let's continue with the story. It started small. It always does. 6th grade, new school, new faces. He wore hand-me-down sweaters and shoes 2 sizes too big. His mom packed Bible verses in his lunch. That's all it took. They called him Pastor Carter, church boy, preacher freak. They'd steal his notebooks, trip him in the halls. One day, they stuffed him lyrics into his locker. He tried to tell a teacher. They said, "Ignore them, and they'll get bored." They didn't. 7th grade, the names got worse. 8th grade, the bruises started showing. By freshman year, Elijah had stopped telling. His weird, "Don't sit with him." His world shrank. Friends disappeared. His smile faded. And when he finally stopped answering back, they said he was creepy. Kids can be cruel, but systems can be colder. At home, Elijah's silence continued. His mother worked night shifts at a nursing home. Most evenings, the apartment echoed with nothing but microwave beeps and TV static. There was no father. There hadn't been since Elijah was 7. He did his homework at the kitchen table. Microwave meals. Midnight alarms when his mom returned. She loved him, no doubt, but exhaustion spoke louder than hugs. He found solace in stories, old books, quiet music, and eventually, online forums. First it was anime threads, then poetry circles, then darker spaces. Do they even see you? No, never. Then maybe they deserve to bleed. They called him brother, called him strong, gave him something the real world never did. Recognition. High school didn't change things. If anything, it made them worse. Sophomore year brought louder hallways, crueler jokes, and sharper laughter. And still, no one asked Elijah how he was doing. One morning, a group of seniors cornered him in the stairwell. They filmed him as they mocked his voice, pushed his books to the floor, posted it with the caption, "Bro thinks he's in a sad indie movie." 24,000 views. No one took it down. He slammed the laptop shut, then opened it again, and typed 5 words into the dark forum. "I think it's time." No one asked what he meant. They just replied, "We'll be here when it starts." In early March, Elijah stopped eating lunch. He stopped drawing, stopped doing homework, stopped looking anyone in the eye. His mother noticed. She asked, "Are you okay, baby?" He lied. "Yeah, just tired." He had stopped sleeping too. He read news articles, school shootings, mass violence. He studied them like textbooks, watched every video, read every comment. He started making a list, in a notebook titled, "Maybes." Maybe they'll notice then. Maybe it'll end the noise. Maybe I'll finally matter. Then came the hallway incident. Someone tripped him on purpose. His head hit the floor. His glasses shattered. Laughter erupted around him. Even a teacher smiled, thinking it was a joke. That moment wasn't the breaking point. It was the confirmation. That night, Elijah dug out the showbox. Inside, an old .38 revolver. Rusty, heavy, left behind by his uncle who'd passed 2 years earlier. Elijah cleaned it with trembling hands, just like he'd learned from the forums. He loaded 5 bullets, taped 1 extra under the barrel grip. Then, in his journal, he wrote, April 12th, room 108, begin at 8:47, end by 8:51. He made a playlist for the walk to school. First song, In the End by Linkin Park. Last song, Silence. In his final forum post, he wrote, I'm not a monster. I was made. I gave the world chances. It gave me silence. This is how it ends. But nothing ends cleanly, because someone was about to notice. Just not in time. April 12th, a Tuesday. The sun rose like any other day, unaware it would witness a tragedy before noon. Elijah woke up before his alarm. He dressed in silence. Black hoodie, black jeans, the same worn-out sneakers he'd been mocked for wearing since sophomore year. He placed the revolver inside his backpack. Next to it, the sealed envelope for his mother. He stood in front of the bathroom mirror, staring at himself, not fixing his hair, not adjusting his clothes, just staring. He whispered, I'm sorry. He turned off the lights, slung the backpack over his shoulder, and left. The walk to school took 17 minutes. Today, it felt shorter. Every step heavier, every glance sharper. He passed the park where he used to play, the corner store where he bought comic books, the bus stop where no one ever said his name. He passed classmates on their way to school. They didn't look at him. He didn't look back. One girl, Grace, from 3rd period English, gave him a half smile. He paused, as if to say something, but didn't. The school came into view. Red brick walls. Flag at half-mast for some other tragedy. Elijah stepped through the front gate. Nobody stopped him. 8:41 a.m. Room 108. Ms. Cartwright's homeroom. 22 students. 1 teacher. None of them knew Elijah's name. He stood outside the door. Listened. He reached into his backpack, gripped the handle of the revolver. His hands trembled. He looked down at the scar on his wrist, faint now. He closed his eyes. He opened the door. What happened next would change every single life in that room, forever. At 8:47 a.m., Elijah pushed open the door to room 108. Nobody noticed him at first. Students were laughing, tossing paper, scrolling phones. Ms. Cartwright was taking attendance. Elijah walked to the center of the room, set his backpack down, unzipped it. That's when Jamie Klein, 2nd row seat, varsity cheer, looked up. Her smile vanished. Jamie quietly, "What is that?" Too late. The first shot shattered the whiteboard. Screams followed. Chairs scraped. Bodies dropped to the floor. Ms. Cartwright dove toward Elijah. The second shot hit her in the shoulder. Chaos erupted. Jamie screamed. Tyson tried to run. Elijah turned and fired again. The third shot hit Tyson in the back. But Elijah didn't smile. Not like the others you read about. He looked broken. You didn't see me. You never saw me. Within 45 seconds, someone in the hallway hit the fire alarm. Another teacher called 911. By 8:49 a.m., the school was in full lockdown. Doors slammed shut. Lights turned off. Students crouched beneath desks, praying, texting parents, holding hands. Inside room 108, Elijah stood still. His hands shook. Sweat dripped from his brow. He stared at Tyson, motionless, bleeding. Jamie sobbed beneath a desk. He walked toward her slowly. He pointed the gun, paused, and dropped it. The revolver clattered to the floor. Elijah collapsed beside it, clutching his knees, rocking back and forth. Elijah, softly, barely audible. "I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted the noise to stop." At 8:52 a.m., police arrived on campus. 6 officers entered through the north entrance, guns drawn, trained on room 108. They heard screams. Silence. Then sobbing. No answer. They stacked up, counted down. SWAT leader. 3, 2, 1. Breach. Door explodes open. Shouting. Heavy boots on tile. Elijah didn't move. He was on the floor, hands behind his head, whispering something over and over. Suspect is secure. We need medics, now. Inside the room, blood, broken desks, wounded students. Ms. Cartwright was conscious but pale. Tyson, barely breathing. Jamie wouldn't let go of her friend's hand. Elijah never resisted. He just looked up, dead in the eyes of an officer, and said, "I wasn't supposed to make it out." 3 shots, 2 injured, dozens traumatized, 1 life forever changed. And yet, by a miracle, no one died. But the damage? Unseen, unspoken, endless. At 9:05 a.m., Elijah Miles was in handcuffs. By 9:08, he was out of room 108. By 9:15, the entire school was a crime scene. Tyson James was rushed into surgery. Ms. Cartwright was conscious, barely, but stable. Jamie couldn't speak for hours. And Elijah, he didn't cry, didn't speak, didn't resist. Officer Ramirez. Kid looked like he was sleepwalking, like he didn't know where he was anymore. Reporter 1. Another school shooting narrowly avoids tragedy this morning in Fremont County. Reporter 2. 17-year-old Elijah Carter, seen here in police custody, is accused of opening fire. Reporter 3. Parents demanding answers, furious at what they call a failure to see the signs. Inside Elijah's house, detectives found notebooks, filled with pain, drawings of guns, names, and 1 line written over and over. "They won't ignore me anymore." Detective Monroe, stern. "Why did you bring the gun, Elijah?" "Elijah, they laughed at me. Every day. For years." Monroe. "And that justifies shooting them." Elijah. "No. I didn't know how else to stop the noise." For 2 hours, Elijah spoke in broken sentences. Not about revenge, not even about death, but about silence and being invisible. "Elijah, I used to scream into my pillow at night. No one ever heard." He admitted to everything. Didn't want a lawyer, didn't want his mother, didn't want anything, except for someone to finally see him. Prosecutor's office issued a statement. "We are charging Elijah Miles as an adult with 2 counts of attempted murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and unlawful possession of a firearm on school property." The court date was set for 3 weeks later. But the court of public opinion? It started the same day. The courtroom was packed. Left side, Tyson's family, broken but proud. Ms. Cartwright, arm in a sling, sat in the front row. Right side, Elijah's mother. Alone, eyes sunken, hands trembling. Jamie testified. Still shaken, still scared. "Jamie," he looked me in the eyes, and I thought I was going to die. The prosecution painted Elijah as a cold-blooded killer, said the shooting was premeditated, pointed to the notebook, the names, the timing. Prosecutor, this wasn't a cry for help. It was a declaration of war. But the defense, they painted a different picture. Defense attorney, my client didn't want to kill. He wanted to be heard. And he's a child, a broken one, failed by everyone around him. They presented mental health records, years of trauma, missed warning signs. The jury listened. So did the country. Some saw a monster, others saw a warning. And the verdict, that would come next. It took the jury 11 hours. Outside the courthouse, reporters huddled in the cold, microphones ready. Inside, Tyson's family held hands. Jamie stared straight ahead. And Elijah? He barely blinked. "Judge, will the jury foreperson please rise?" Foreperson, softly. "We find the defendant guilty on all counts." Elijah didn't flinch, didn't cry. In fact, he smiled. A broken, hollow smile, as if the trial had proven what he always believed. "Now you see me." Prosecutor, outside court. "Justice was served today. But let's be clear, this case was a tragedy long before the first shot was fired." The town erupted. Online debates flooded forums. His evil. His sick. Where were the parents? Where were the teachers? Where were we? 1 week later, Judge Harriet Winslow delivered the sentence. Judge Winslow, firm. "Elijah Miles, this court sentences you to 60 years in prison without the possibility of parole." No celebration. No cheers. Just silence. Elijah's mother sobbed. Jamie looked down. Tyson's parents nodded, but even they didn't look satisfied. Because justice never feels like resurrection. When asked if he wanted to speak, Elijah stood. "I didn't want to kill anyone. I just wanted someone to know I was hurting." Then he looked at the gallery, at Jamie, at Tyson's parents, at the teacher he almost killed. "I'm sorry. It wasn't supposed to go like this." And then, for the first time, he cried. Red Lake Valley was never the same. Room 207 was closed permanently, turned into a counseling center, its walls covered in messages of hope. Tyson recovered, graduated a year late. He started a non-profit for at-risk youth. Jamie transferred schools, rarely spoke of that day, except in therapy. Ms. Cartwright retired, said her heart was still in teaching, but her nerves never recovered. And Elijah, he was transferred to a state correctional facility for youth offenders. Then, quietly, to an adult prison. At 17, he became inmate number 8760945. The media moved on. The hashtags faded. But the pain, it stayed. This isn't just a story about a shooting. It's a story about silence, about the cracks in our systems, the cries we ignore, and the people we fail until it's too late. Because the truth is, no one just walks into class with a rifle and smiles. Not unless we missed 1,000 chances to stop them first. If you or someone you know is struggling, please speak up. It might save a life. If you enjoyed this episode of Chase Studio Stories, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue to share impactful and meaningful content.